Hi everyone, and welcome to week 7 of the Ray Esports Racing League presented by RaceVoice and Racer61. Tonight we find ourselves at the home of tradition, beauty, and speed. Opened in 1959 when life and road racing seemed so much more simple than today, tonight's venue features corners that may sound a bit generic. There's the uphill, the downhill, the left and right-handers, and even a no-name straight. But the racing is anything but. Tonight's drivers will navigate this 1.5-mile bull ring in less than a minute, the only purpose-built race course on the National Register of Historic Places. Tonight, we travel to Lime Rock Park. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and returning to the announce booth tonight is Avery McDonald. And of course, we've got Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch manning the controls and bringing all the best camera angles. And on this first day of June, we've got 2 races on tap. We'll be starting off with our Spec Racer 4 drivers, and a little bit later, we'll welcome our Pro Formula Mazda drivers, as each group will meet for the 5th time this season to make their 20-minute sprint to the checkered flag. First off, Avery, welcome back, and I guess you have a great excuse for skipping out on us last week, as you are at one of the other tracks on the National Register getting ready for the biggest spectacle in racing.
Oh yeah, it's great to be back here, but man, attending my 6th or 7th Indianapolis 500 at launch track, such a great weekend with some really spectacular series, hanging out at the lot 1C Savages. We had a good time, and man, we witnessed history as Castro Neves won his 4th Indianapolis 500. To join an illustrious group, Greg, it was a pleasure to see, but what's also a pleasure to see is these surf cars here at Lime Rock Park, another historic track. May not have the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but there's still a lot of history at Lime Rock.
Yeah, there certainly is. This track, as we mentioned, opened in 1959, and one of those traditional road race courses has always presented challenges to the drivers because of the very short straightaways that it has and many turns. It makes passing very difficult. It's also much more narrow than a lot of the other courses that our racers race at for the Ray Esports Racing League. And in many regards, Avery, it has a lot of similarities to the track that we were at last week, and that was Charlotte Motor Speedway. I know that sounds a little odd, but of course we were racing on the Roval, on the road course, which has a good portion of that 2.5-mile oval to it. But for the infield, lots of very quick straightaways, very hard to make a pass, and then each side of the oval at CMS gets the straightaways there, the front straight and the back straight. They get broken up by 2 very difficult chicanes or bus stops, which again made passing a bit of a challenge. Now we had both our Pro Mazdas, who we're going to see a little bit later tonight, and also the MX-5 racers, who we gave the evening off to at Charlotte. And what we saw was it made for some real close racing at the starts. But again, a lot of the drivers definitely had some issues there making some passes. So real quick, Avery, and we'll get into what we're seeing on track right now as we have our Spec Racer Fords out for their 15-minute open qualifying session. Let's take a look now 2 weeks back. The Spec Racer Fords they had last week at Charlotte off. They last raced 2 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, where Stevie Ray, who is currently running 4th fastest in qualifying right now in the number 11 car, he took the win. Greg Mack, who currently is running 13th fastest here in qualifying, finished 2nd, and Morgan Burkhardt, who is currently your fastest driver, not currently on track. He's just now coming off the pit lane. Morgan Burkhardt took the last step of the podium with Jeff Miner and Andrew Benov, who were finishing 4th and 5th. And if we go and take a look at the points and where we stand after 4 rounds in Spec Racer Ford, Stevie Ray, our winner from 2 weeks ago, he sits atop the leaderboard. He actually leapfrogged Zach Burke with his win. He has 87 points total. Another 13 back from there is Zach Burke, who is currently sitting 2nd. Morgan Burkhardt who is really separating himself out from a lot of the rest of the field here. He is currently sitting third in the points, just 6 points back with 68. Then we've got Greg Mack and Jamison Huffman. And if you look a little bit further back in the order, we currently have Bryce Evans and Justin Huffman. That is Jamison Huffman's father, tied for 8th position. Charles Vaccaro sitting back with 35 points, now in 10th. But real close championship as you take a look at the order there and how many points have been given over the course of the series. Now, over the entire season, each of the 3 classes that we have in the Ray Esports League, they will race 6 times. And so, again, for our Spec Racer Fords and also a little bit later tonight, the Pro Mazdas, it will be their 5th out of 6 outings. Then, once we're done with that, we will have our runoffs at Road America this year. And that is, I believe, 4 weeks from tonight. It's June... actually, I think we have it listed as being June 22nd. So, again, just a few weeks away. All right, so as we check with qualifying here, Avery, jumping to the top of the leaderboard now is Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine. He has leapfrogged Morgan Burkhardt. Now, those 2 drivers are teammates. And making his, I believe this is his Spec Racer Ford debut with us here in the Ray Esports Racing League, John Carlos Schooler in the number 6 machine. He is also part of that, part of the same team as Jamison and Morgan, and he did very, very well last week in Spec Miata, or the MX-5s. He actually finished 3rd there, and in Pro Mazdas finished on the podium as well, finished in 2nd. So we'll look to see what Giancarlo can do. I think as we were talking in the before we came on air, raced with his father for quite some time, for a number of years in the Washington, D.C. region of the SCCA. So good to see another legacy coming to race. And I think Jamison, Morgan, and Giancarlo all going to be in race cars doing it in real life very, very soon.
Oh yeah, definitely cool to see, sons, daughters in a race car, whether it's in a simulator or in real life. It's a family sport. It always will be. It always has. So it's good to see the young kids up front. But I wouldn't count out some of the older drivers here, because like Elio said on Sunday afternoon, I might be old, but I ain't done yet. So watch out for some of these older drivers to get it done.
Well, there you go. And, you can never count out Stevie Ray in that number 11 machine, currently running 5th in qualifying. As we talked about Jamison Huffman, his father, Justin Huffman, currently sitting 10th in the number 223 machine. Another driver you cannot count out. And a lot of young guys in the field, but, we've got some not so young guys as well. And you definitely want to watch out for them, as we now have just about 3 minutes remaining in this 15-minute qualifying session. Both races are brought to you this evening by RaceVoice. You can find out more about them by going to www.racevoice.com. And they provide some great products for the real race car and virtual world. For the real race car, you can hook their system into both Motec and AIM data systems and get audible feedback right in your helmet as far as how your car is performing and also how you are performing on track. So great product, and very similar services for the virtual world as well. Again, check them out at racevoice.com. As we're on board right now with the number 89 of Jamison Huffman, and there you go, folding up that Spec Racer Ford there, coming off. It looks like coming out of the right-hander, going into the no-name straight. Looks like he's going to start again and try to improve upon his time. Right now, about 25 hundredths of a second clear of his teammate Morgan Burkhardt.
Yeah, some pretty close times. I mean, yeah, James Huffman's up front pretty quick, but yeah, look at Burkhardt, Schooler, Shannonbrook, Stevie Ray, I mean, really close group. It's good to see Brennan Horn out here on the track. You know, he's not really one of the drivers that runs a Spec Racer Ford, but it's a home track for him, so good to see him back out on the track with the Spec Racer Ford. We got a really good field so far, 24 drivers currently in the session, so it's a small track. You know, the one thing about Lime Rock, Greg, is we're going to see this race will have probably one of the most laps you're going to see all season long for just how short it is.
Absolutely.
Just over a minute.
Yeah, and as you can see here, the Spec Racer Fords are running just a touch over 1 minute per lap here. I believe the Pro Mazdas a little bit later will be running somewhere along the lines of, I believe, around 48, 49 seconds per lap. So it's going to go, the laps are going to go very quickly. But then again, we're running timed races, 20-minute timed races, as the checkered flag is now out on qualifying. Last flying laps here will count. Now, also, Avery, should mention here, and I think we've had a couple shots that you can see it. We are running a version of Lime Rock Park. There are actually four layouts that are typically run here at Lime Rock. This is what they call the Grand Prix version, and it has a bit of a chicane just before the turn called the uphill, the right-hander. And we'll certainly want to watch our drivers, and here it is as they come into that. Actually, that's not where the chicane is. Never mind. That's that's going through West Bend. It will certainly break the flow a little bit as those drivers have to move to the right and then to the left and then to the right again and make their way up the uphill. And there are some very large bollards right there at those corners, as you just saw a couple of our drivers there take those bollards and can certainly send the car flying if you hit them the wrong way. So definitely something the drivers will have to be wary of here as our last drivers are finishing up their their qualifying session, and we should have our drivers starting to make their way to the grid. So why don't we go and run down the starting order, Avery?
Well, the young Jamison Huffman out of the Virginia club bringing on the pole with that 101, almost into the 1 minute bracket, but not quite there. But on the outside of him is Morgan Burkhardt in row number 1. Down to row 3, making his Spec Racer Ford debut, Giancarlo Schuyler, with Reed Shanabrook on the outside of him, down to row 3. He won a couple weeks ago at Mid-Ohio with Stevie Ray from Ray Sports Racing, and then Brennan Horn in 6th. Murphy Nichols, Elias Roman, and then look at Zach Burke. He's sitting second in the points after Stevie Ray took over him, and we'll see if he can be able to make up some spots. And then Justin Huffman in 10th. Edgar Sancarelli in 11th. Andrew Benaw in 12th. Now we're in row number 7. Greg Mack from Team Esports put on a really good run last couple weeks ago. Benjamin Forrester, 14th. Mike Taylor, Samuel Tully, Charles Vaccaro, Thor Tulo, Andrew Rosencroft, Bryce Evans, 20th. John Casey, Wayne Buttermore, Joaquin Effinger, Antonio Guarda has not put down a lap yet, but looks like he will hopefully make the race. But we got 24 drivers on tap. Greg, for 20 minutes of Lime Rock Park action in this Ray Sports Series. It's pretty much one of those great tracks with great races most of the time.
Yeah, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason why they call this place the Bull Ring. Primarily right-hand corners. They all come by very, very quickly. There's not a lot of room for drivers to pass. And, we've seen in previous outings in the Ray Esports Racing League with our Spec Racer Ford, some of our drivers may not be too afraid to get the elbows out. So we'll see here as the Porsche pace car brings our pole sitter, the number 89 of Jamison Huffman, down, and we've got a great overhead view right now of the bull ring here, so you can see as our drivers come through turns 1 and 2 as they come off the Sam Posey straight and set up for the left-hander as our drivers are starting to get some heat in the tires. There is the turn known as the left-hander because, well, oddly enough, it's pretty much the only left-hand turn here at Lime Rock Park. And then the drivers get set up for the right-hander, which will start to bring them down the no-name straight. one of the few straightaways that we have here at Lime Rock Park. There is that little bend in it, though, as the drivers will then get set up and come down to the chicane. And you can see how short that straightaway really is. As the drivers will start to make their way over, you'll find typically if you're going to make a pass there, you're going to make it on the outside going into the chicane down the no-name straight. And then as the drivers came on up the hill, another short little run through West Bend, and then you start to make your way down the hill. You come under the bridge to the downhill and onto the Sam Posey straight to complete a lap, as our pace car now is going to make the quick right-hand turn into the pit lane. That means Jameson Huffman has the field with Morgan Burkhardt right beside him, and we see Burkhardt come all the way over before the start there, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But some of the drivers seem to jockey for position before the green flag as they now make their way through turns 1 and 2. We've got Huffman and Burkhardt nose to tail. Giancarlo Schooler in the number 6 machine, he is running in third. Then we've got Shannabrook. So pretty much just the way things came out originally. Some brake lockup coming out of 2. We've got a driver that's gone off, and I think that's Justin Huffman in the number 223 car. We'll check back in on him in just a few moments here as our leaders come down the no-name straight for the very first time and into the chicane, Avery.
Yeah, Jameson Huffman leading the group, and Justin Huffman, his old man, is in the tail of the field, but line of cars from Huffman, Burkhardt, Schooler, and Shannabrook. They're going to go through the chicane, and they got to get right on those brakes and coming up real soon. You'll see that toe that's involved. And look at that on the straightaway there. So pretty much all the drivers made it through chicane relatively clean. It's a part of the track, Greg, where a lot of carnage can happen, but Huffman leads them through lap number 1.
You know, it's like Antonio Guarda went a little bit wide coming out of the downhill onto the Sam Posey straight. You know, but again, it's one of those things where the straightaway here, not very long. You don't get a real good slingshot with the draft, and so what you have to really do is you have to make your intentions known early. Come down the inside, going into turn 1. Let the guys ahead of you know that you're going to try and make that move. As our drivers now make their way down the no-name straight over towards that chicane for the second time. And, you know, as you look here, there's a pretty good gap back in the field now as we take a look. It's right between Elias Roman and Nathan, and Zach Burke in 9th, as everything had gotten stretched out. Also a bit of a gap, 12th and 13th, Greg Mack and Ben Forster, as still trying to recover a little bit from when Justin Huffman went off on lap number 1. And you can see the drivers now starting to spread out a little bit, going down into turn 1 to complete lap number 2. But our leaders still, Jameson Huffman, Morgan Burkhardt, Reed Shannabrook, and Stevie Ray. They both get around Carlos Schooler that last time by, so drop Schooler now back into 5th position.
Yeah, you saw Sam Tully and Charles Vaccaro go off track in the chicane, so it's very important to run very smooth into that corner. As you take a look at Huffman, and we're looking at Giancarlo Schooler, who's got down 2 spots since this race started. They both get through the chicane very well and maintain the toe. Stevie Ray won a couple weeks ago at Mid-Ohio. He's right in the toe of Shannabrook. And walking upwards here, and around goes Vaccaro again for the second time in the chicane. Collects the 223 and the 43 of Guarda.
Yeah, it looks like Justin Huffman for the second time today gets caught up and goes around. He ended up getting into the side of Guarda, who was pretty much just stuck there at the chicane. And you can see how narrow it is there, how much things get bottled up when a car goes around on track. It's not the 55-foot wide pavement that we had at Charlotte a couple weeks ago or last week, or at Road America. It's really quite tight around here as we jump back to the battle right now, and this is the battle for 15th, as we've got Sam Tully in the number 24 car with my face plastered all over it, then the number 80 of Andrew Rosencroft, and then John Casey in the number 78 machine. And so let's jump back up, just back a little bit from our leaders. This is the battle for, we're looking now at the battle for fourth. We're on board right now. We were on board with Murphy Nichols in the number 23 machine. This is the first time we've seen Murphy in one of the Spec Racer Fords in quite a while. Of course, he picked up the Big Bore championship in the Washington, D.C. region of the SCCA's league a few weeks ago. I know he was very happy about that. I think the only thing missing was a kiss from one of the trophy girls there. But he's showing a pretty good pace here. Last couple times, Avery, that he's raced with us, he's been, let's just say, inconsistent. So we'll see if Murphy Nichols can hold on there. All right, big change here coming through the chicane as Morgan Burkhardt now takes the point, takes the lead away from his teammate in the All Sports Racing League teams, Jamison Huffman. Reed Shannabrook now running in third and only a couple car lengths back as they come onto the Sam Posey straight, and you can see Stevie Ray getting a little loose. Let's go back and take a look at this pass for the lead.
Yeah, it all starts with a mistake by Huffman, and man, look at Burkhardt. Just get around him. You got to be clean. You got to be perfect if you want to win here.
Yeah, you can see where Huffman turned in maybe a little bit early, caught the curbing on the right-hander, and then just spent the entire complex there trying to recover, but he has gotten back around Morgan Burkhardt. So Jamison Huffman now in the number 89 car back in the lead as we jump back just a little bit more as we watch here as Murphy Nichols currently sitting in seventh. You see a lot of brake lock up just ahead of him. Looking real smooth there in that all sports machine. Murphy was motorcycle racing, trying to get his mojo on and get into the game, and he's looking good so far as he's right behind Brennan Horan, and now side by side coming down the hill just ahead of Murphy Nichols. We've got Brennan Horan and Stevie Ray wants to make it 3 wide as they come down the straight here.
Oh, a lot of toe, and Stevie Ray gets pelted by
there
the
you go. Yeah,
13.
Stevie Ray heats us access road on the outside of turn number 1. Murphy Nichols, though, making the move nice and early. He now moves up to 5th, making up 2 positions just down the same. Another big change here up at the front is Reed Shannabrook in the number 14 car. He gets around Morgan Burkhardt, and he's now side by side with our leader, Jamison Huffman. Chicane up the hill, but Reed Shannabrook, that number 14 machine, showing a lot of pace right now.
Yeah, we're only 7 minutes into the. It's been lead changes after lead changes, overtakes after overtakes, and you know, Jamison Huffman, he's got a handful of Shannabrook behind him, but it's looks like 6 to 7 cars. Oh, and they're 3 wide, maybe gonna make it 4 wide.
Almost
send it in there.
Yep. As Shannabrook's, they go under braking into turn numbers 1 and 2, but Morgan Burkhardt has the inside position. He will, at least for the moment, retake the lead. Shannabrook stays in second. Jamison Huffman, our pole sitter, drops back to third. Then we've got Giancarlo Schooler and Murphy Nichols. If we look a little bit further back, lots of smoke. It looks like the number Forster, looks like he blew a motor. It is certainly something you can do in iRacing, and he might have over-revved that thing, and his day appears to be done. As we go back, it's got to be a little disconcerting for Zach Burke and Brendan Horn, but it looks like Murphy Nichols kind of blinking in and out as he did last time he joined us a couple of weeks ago. Apparently again, the internet connection's not so hot in Frederick, Maryland. All right, so heading down the Sam Posey straight now to complete lap number 8, starting lap number 9. It's a 20-minute race. Morgan Burkhardt is your leader, and you can see Jamison Huffman trying to set up Reed Shannabrook, possibly coming through the left and right-handers. He's not quite close enough to get to all sport racing cars, taking up 4 of the top 5 machines on track. And then right behind, we've got Zach's Team eSports cars.
Yeah, real good battle, Greg. I mean, look at Zach Burke. Yeah, he had a little contact earlier with Stevie Ray. One of them, man, it's called Murphy the Flasher because he's always flashing on the track, and looks like that's just oh, and it's Huffman. Oh, from the lead to 7th in 1 turn, and it's a side-by-side battle.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay here as they come down underneath the bridge, downhill. and make the turn in there, and Huffman, the rear end, just steps out on him as he spins around. Luckily, nobody impacts him. No contact there, but that is a shame for Jamison Huffman. As you mentioned, he now drops back into 8th position in the number 89 car, but also into the lead. Reed Shannabrook, your new leader, as Jamison Huffman trying to make his way back up through the field. But Shannabrook, our new leader. Burkhardt second around teammate Giancarlo Schooler, and moves up to 3rd.
Yeah, we're looking at Jamison Huffman now. He's right on Benaw's rear end, and he's going to need to make some moves. I mean, he's, for the most part, out of a podium, but Jamison's got to be driving with a little more sense of urgency as we go back up to the front. Take a look at Morgan Burkhardt, going to go to the inside of Shannabrook, and needs to get a good corner entrance and see if he's going to be able to get to him. There he is. Nice move by Burkhardt.
There you go. So Morgan Burkhardt retakes the lead. I want to give a quick shout out to Marco Barbonera, who's watching here tonight. Another one of our Apex Racing TV. Not this every week, but if you want to find out more about the great programming that Apex Racing TV provides, make sure to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Set that notification bell so you find out about all the great programming from around the world, including those that are commentated on by Marco. You won't regret it. You can also find out more on social media, all the different platforms, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Instagram or Twitter, at Apex Racing TV. All right, so let's jump back to that battle for the lead here, as we are now over halfway through this 20-minute sprint race, and you can see Morgan Burkhardt. He's already getting defensive, trying to break that draft, Avery.
Yeah, they're driving real defensive right now. Giving a little bump to Schooler.
Oh, as Giancarlo Schooler gets loose, moving down the inside. His teammate Murphy Nichols gets into him as well, and that will allow Brennan Horan on through. Schooler appears to continue on, as really escaped that battle for second, but we had all those cars coming down the inside of the Sam Posey straight, and wow, looks like Schooler just locked up the brakes. And here, let's go take a look at a replay now as those drivers come all the way down the inside. We'll see that little wiggle from Giancarlo Schooler. Did he get a tap? He might have got a 13 car of Zach Burke as they went through there. And both Burke and Schooler go off, but unfortunately Murphy Nichols gets caught up in that as well. And Nichols drops all the way down to 14th position after having sat in 3rd before that incident, as we jump back now to our pole sitter, Jamison Huffman, and you can see that damaged number 6 of Schooler just ahead of him. And Huffman now moves up into 5th position, getting around Zach Burke in the number 13 machine.
Yeah, and Huffman's put down the quickest lap of the session, so he's only 3 seconds back from, I believe that is Schooler. But he can, I mean, there's 7 minutes to go, and you keep clicking off times like that, and Schooler's got a little bit. Huffman is overtaking him there.
Yeah, so Huffman now gets around Schooler. Burke, Zach Burke in the number 3. Burke, he hasn't had enough of those all sports racing machines, as he's going to follow Jamison Huffman through the downhill and on to Sam Posey. As those two drivers, they should maybe start working together, you know, but we've talked about this, how effective the draft is here, and because of how short the different runs are, you know, it's say much harder than working together going down the back straight at Road Atlanta or at Road America in order to make up ground here. And I have a feeling that this just may end up being the battle for until we get to the checkered flag this evening between Jamison Huffman and Zach Burke.
Yeah, you know, they could work together, but let's take a look back at the lead, and that's Morgan Burkhardt. Shannabrook to make the pass for the lead, and with just under 6 minutes to go, I think this lead is going to change just maybe a couple times before we get to the finish, because both these drivers are carrying a lot of speed and are able to maintain it with each other, and we'll have to see what the toe is going to do. And turn number 1, we'll see if Shannabrook's going to ever, might not get there in time, but, you know, we got some more time to get going.
Yeah, and you can see here, Avery, that although Shannabrook made up a little bit at the very end of Sam Posey, most of that was under braking. The way this track is laid out, and because it is so much a full throttle running out in the draft, and you really have to be right on somebody's gearbox coming through the downhill, in order to be in position to outbrake him going into turn one. And as we saw there, you know, a car length back is not enough for Reed Shanabrook as they get under braking now, going into the chicane, start to make their way through the uphill. And let's take a look. We got a replay here to see coming down the Sam Posey straight. We've got Zach Burke, we've got Jamison Huffman as they come into one. And what's going to happen? Zach Burke gets a little bit loose, goes around, he gets to the infield just in time that the following cars don't get into him. Those drivers now, and I believe it was Schooler, I think Elias Roman, who we haven't talked about, and Edgar Sancinelli were right behind. There's a look at the number 3 Roman. He's had a little bit of damage here. But right up behind Huffman is, or probably not Huffman, but Giancarlo Schooler as they come down side by side going in to one. Oh, and spinning wide there was Edgar Sancinelli in the 257 car. Just as, and I'll tell you, that was a great move as they were coming down into turn one there. With Greg Mack making that move, or probably Elias Roman making that move on Schooler from the outside. Sorry about that. So move Roman now up into 5th as we jump back to the battle for the lead. And you said it, Avery, here as our new leader is Reed Shanabrook. Morgan just about 3.5 minutes remaining here. So probably 4 laps here left to go at Lime Rock Park.
Shanabrook have swapped spots a couple times on the last lap, and Burkhardt's able to maintain it, but you know, this track has the potential for some of the best move on Greg Mack. Big good run for Greg Mack, up 5 spots, and Stevie Ray is going to take over the 7th position.
Yeah, good recovery from Stevie Ray after having taken the to now move up into 7th position. He started 5th today. As we take a look at our leaders coming through the chicane again, making their way up the uphill. And you know, character of the track here, that chicane really slows things down. Typically without the chicane, as you go through the uphill corner, the car you carry so much speed, the car gets to really adjust as they make the run down to West Bend. And you know, I think the chicane definitely keeps our drivers closer as we have Morgan Burkhardt, our leader, coming just a little bit on Shanabrook, trying to force Shanabrook out a little bit, and Burkhardt, at least for the moment, manages to hang on. Now you also notice kind of creeping around in the back there in the number 45 machine, and you know, he's still a good distance back. But our leaders coming up on some slower traffic, and I believe it was the 73 of Buttermore there who spun around going through the left hand, or probably through the right hander, and that caused, look at that replay there, and that gives Shanabrook a huge advantage, Avery, as they go through the chicane and up the hinges.
Yeah, Shanabrook up front, but man, Giancarlo Schooler right in a good battle with Elias Roman, and a really good run for Elias Roman, up 2 spots.
And Stevie
they
Ray
both have
on the door.
Yeah, they both have a little bit of rear end damage.
I think a little bit might be the understatement of the evening here, as they now spread out 3 wide as Stevie Ray goes down to the inside. Elias Roman goes to the outside. Roman tried to take the inside line and found Stevie Ray. It jumped just a little bit earlier, and it doesn't play out well for Stevie Ray. The track switches back to the right, and they go through the right-hander. Is he going to be able to cement that position? Yes, Elias Roman now takes over 5th place from Carlos Schooler. Stevie Ray still sitting back in 7th. And let's see if we can jump back up to the battle for the lead. The last time we saw the separation was about 0.6 of a second, but more to the gearbox of Shanabrook. As they cross the stripe, there should be now 1 lap to go here at Lime Rock Park. And Morgan Burkhardt, he's going to move over, try to open up that turn, and let's see if he can make it stick, if he can make it work. Our 2 leaders side by side, and I think unknowingly all of our back markers are pulling off track with our leaders coming through. I don't think they meant to do that, but Reed Shanabrook now leads Morgan Burkhardt through the left and right-handers, Avery.
We'll see if Shanabrook's going to be able to hold off the young charge and Morgan Burkhardt. Shanabrook is up 3 spots. He wants to keep it that way. Goes through this. Burkhardt's going to be right on that bumper as we get ready to go through the final couple corners.
All right, and there you go. And you can see Burkhardt Burkhardt moving left and moving right, actually loses a little bit of ground going down into the downhill here as Burkhardt's still about a half a car length back. He's locked right under the tail here, but is he going to be close enough as they are side by side and sitting at the line? Our winner, Reed Shannabrook, by 3/100ths of a second. Reed Shannabrook win. Morgan Burkhardt will finish second, crossing the line in third. Brennan Horan takes the last step on the podium. Jamison Huffman, our pole sitter this evening, works his way one step off the podium. Stevie Ray crossing the stripe in that number 11 machine. He will finish in fifth. Giancarlo Schooler started on row number 2. Then we've got Andrew Benna in the number 71 machine with my face plastered all over the car. If he took that off, he'd probably be faster. Edgar Sancinelli will finish in 8th. Zach Burke, great run for Andrew. Picks up 9 positions overall to finish in 10th.
Yeah, man, what a fantastic, some carnage with multiple drivers, but when it came down to the finish, it was Reed Shannabrook getting the win over Morgan Burkhardt by what most would consider a photo finish.
Yeah, there you go. 13 thousandths of a second. So very, very tight, very close racing here at Lime Rock Park. And we're going to let Mr. Shannabrook head into the pits, get out of the car real quick, and hopefully we will have some of our podium finishers here to interview in just a brief moment. Again, reminder, if you like what you see, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Go and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and make sure to click that notification bell so you find out about all the great programming that Apex Racing TV has. Avery, a great way to start off the night here, and I believe we've got our second place finisher Morgan Burkhardt in the room here with us in the announce booth. Avery, take it away.
Hey Morgan, man, what a great run, side by side finish with Reed Shannabrook. What was your thoughts going into that final lap? Because you knew it was gonna be a battle.
Well, I was really thinking about trying to stick it around the outside at 1, or at least try and hold something, but it didn't really work, and I got a better run coming out of the chicane. Tried to look up the inside at the try and screw up his run going into the final corner, and it kind of worked, and just barely missed out on the win. So yeah,
it was a great job at with not only just for him, but Brennan Horn put on a good run. Then your teammates, James and Huffman, really put on attack earlier. But we're gonna see you in a little bit in the next race, Morgan.
That is the plan. Yes.
Well, we better let you. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Jamison, Murphy, Sam, and JC. They really helped me set a qualifying time, and sometimes the races don't go as well as you want them to, but they did a good job in coming back from them. And as always, my parents and my grandparents for making all this possible.
Awesome. Congrats, Morgan. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you.
That's Morgan, race finisher for today's race number 1 at Lime Rock Park, Greg.
All right, absolutely. And tell you what, I don't see. I don't see our winner, Reed Shannabrook, here with us. Hey, there's Reed Shannabrook as he just magically appears. Let's drag him into the booth here. And Avery, take it away.
Hey, Reed, it's Avery up here in the booth. Man, you had a hard charge in Morgan Burkhardt on your tail coming to the white flag. How were you able to hold him off for one whole lap to take home the W?
I mean, I don't know. It was a little bit of luck there, so close at the end. But I figured I'd try to break the draft as early as I could because I knew he had a bit of a run on me. He'd been just a touch faster the whole race, but a couple mistakes here and there, and that one car that was a lap down that spun kind of threw things off a little bit. But all in all, it was a really clean race. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun for not only for Greg and Dennis. We talked about how fun this series is, but man, this was so much fun for me. It was good to be back in the booth after I missed last week. But Lime Rock Park, tough and tight track. Are we gonna see you in the race coming up, or?
No, I've had zero practice in that car, so yep, I'm gonna be out for that one, but I'll be in probably for whatever's next week, hopefully in SRF or the Miata.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you in this series, watching you race here. Definitely at Lime Rock Park. You took home a big win, but before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
Shout out to my parents that are watching right now, and my dad, who he just told me the other day, he was at this track racing his vintage Alpha, and I was riding around the track when I was like 8 on my bicycle, and he said he wouldn't let me go down the hill on my own. He held me up because he knew I'd go flat out through that turn. So
Well,
That is
yeah,
a
that's
cool,
awesome.
cool story. Love that. Well, thank you, Reed. Congratulations on the win. And I guess we'll probably see you next week at Sonoma Raceway for the Mazda MX-5s and hopefully also the Spec Racer Ford. So we'll see if you can repeat. Everybody, that's Reed Shanabrook, tonight's winner in Spec Racer Ford. And so our next race up are going to be the Pro Formula Mazdas. We're going to get set up for that race. We're going to let our sponsors pay some bills here. And or actually let us pay some bills and bring you some of our sponsors. And we will be back in just a few moments from Lime Rock Park. You are watching the eSports Racing League here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VR in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala,
and Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR PK.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke,
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong,
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series,
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates, VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back, everybody, to the eSports Racing League here live from Lime Rock Park. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Avery McDonald, and just finished up that great Spec Racer Ford race, but we're not done yet. We've got our Pro Formula Mazdas out on their 15-minute qualifying session at the moment, and they will be making their 20-minute run to the checkered flag here in just a few moments. But before they do, let's take a quick look at our third class in the eSports Racing League, the MX-5s, or Spec Miatas, as I seem to call them pretty much every other time. They are not racing with us this week. They'll return next week at Sonoma Raceway. But let's take a look at how things finished up last week at the Charlotte Roval. Taking the win, and we just had him here in the commentary booth. Morgan Burkhardt finished at the top of the heap in Spec Miata, or Mazda MX-5s. Tom Pendergrass, great run from Tom. I think this is his first ever podium. He finished second. Giancarlo Schooler, who had a bit of a difficult race here just a few moments ago in Spec Racer Ford, he took the last step on the podium. Reed Shannabrook, our winner from earlier this evening, finished in fourth, and Jordy Fike finished in fifth. And if we go and we take a look at the point standings after 4 of 6 rounds in the MX-5s, Jack Tranter, by virtue of his 3 wins, still sits atop the leaderboard. Tranter was not with us last week at Charlotte. He has 75 points. That is 13 points clear of our second place runner in the points right now, Jordy Fike, who does not have a win, but we'll call him Mr. Consistency. Now, Morgan Burkhardt, who took that win last week, he makes up 9 positions total to jump up to third in the order. He has 45 points. Zach Burke sitting in fourth. Justin Hilley dropped 2 positions. Justin was not here last week, and I'm sure well, we're not running the MX-5s this week either, so probably not here now either. Justin Hilley sitting back in fifth with 35 points. Some hard chargers as we look there. Reed Shannabrook, who we just talked to, moved up 18 positions to 7th in the points with 29 points. And then we've got Tom Pendergrass, who moved up 17 positions after taking that podium finish. He is currently tied with Charles Vaccaro, sitting in 8th. And then we've got a tie for 10th right now between Greg Mack and Bryce Evans as well, only 1 point back. But really, really tight there. If you look, Avery, from 6th back to 10th, only 4 points separating a number of drivers there. So things very tight in the championship in Mazda MX-5.
Yeah, it's good to see tight points throughout the field, and we're pretty deep into this season. So
that's it. Only two more rounds for most of these classes. And so we are now just about 10 minutes, a little bit over 10 minutes into this 15-minute open qualifying. Let's take a look at where we were last week at Charlotte with our Pro Formula Mazdas. Tyler Campbell, who is currently fastest driver on track in the number 37 machine. He took the win last week with Giancarlo. It's starting to sound like a broken record here. Giancarlo Schooler finished second. He had a great run in Pro Mazdas last week. Thortulo took the last step on the podium with Charles Vaccaro and Antonio Guarda rounding out the top 5. And if we take a look at where we stand in the points, Tyler Campbell, who has won 3 of the 4 rounds. He had a bit of a difficult race last week, had contact, I believe, with Morgan Burkhardt on the very first lap, and he had to nurse a very damaged car, so did not take the win. But Tyler Campbell, 3 out of 4 rounds, he's come home on the top step of the podium. He has 96 points. Morgan Burkhardt currently sitting second with 74, Charles Vaccaro with 61, and you can see the rest of the order there as things also very, very close here in the points. 54 for Vogel, only 2 points back from there, basically six to 8 points separating all the way back to 8th in the championship. So good tight battling in Pro Mazda on the eSports Racing League as well. So let's go and check in with the field now, as we have just about 3 minutes remaining here in qualifying, and we've got Tyler Campbell in that number 37 machine. He's currently your fastest driver on track, and again, 3 wins out of 4. Jamison Huffman in the number 89 machine, currently your second fastest driver. He is a little more than 4/10 back. And then we've got John Vogel putting on a strong showing here in qualifying, and he is about, if I can do my math, just about 7/10 back from Campbell. And then Morgan Burkhardt, Giancarlo Scola, Murphy Nichols, the 3 teammates, were here in qualifying.
Yep, still a real close field. I mean, Tyler Campbell, he's not quite in front. That don't mean it's a lock, because it's a tight battle with a lot of these drivers. And we're taking a look at Andrew Wozencroft, who you see. I'm super impressed always with Andrew running multiple cars. Does a really good job at. I mean, there's not a lot of drivers that run both cars, especially this Pro Mazda. So a lot of credit to any of the drivers that run both races.
Yeah, there you go. Andrew finished 8th last week in the Pro Mazdas. Certainly, I'm sure, looking to advance up the order just a little bit. Now Wayne Buttermore in the number 73 machine, currently sitting at the tail end of the field here with just about 1 minute remaining in qualifying. So don't know if he's going to be able to set a flying lap here. Wayne finished 7th last week after starting 4th at Charlotte. We'll see if he can repeat that feat here at Lime Rock Park, where again the racing and the passing a little bit more difficult here. Again, primarily one passing zone, and that is at the end of the Sam Posey straight here as we're watching go. And it looks like Wozencroft will get, probably Buttermore will get the opportunity for one more flying lap as he makes his checkered flag flew. There's still about 20 seconds left on the clock, so these last flying laps will count. As we're on board right now with Justin Huffman, looking for a little redemption after his Spec Racer Ford race, and we say it every week, but I think of all the drivers here, Justin probably, his real-life race car is probably the closest thing that you'll find to these Pro Formula Mazdas. He races what's known as a club racing and amateur racing. He's finished on the podium at their national championship runoffs, and the car that he runs right now uses an MZR Mazda motor, and the body and the aero treatment very similar. Oh, well, that's not going to help as Justin Huffman goes for Mr. Toad's wild ride there.
Yeah, that's one thing you can't do, because once you get that incident, your lap here on iRacing is disqualified. So
there you go.
Look at that,
right.
Drivers.
There you go. All right, and so the checkered flag is out. We were watching down at the end of turn 1. He did not better his best time, so he is going to sit on a best lap of a 51.41. That is good enough for 17th overall. And it looks like, and of course, we'll run down the order here in just a moment. It looks like Tyler Campbell is going to be your pole sitter, with Jamison Huffman almost 4/10 back. So really very, very strong outing here in qualifying from Tyler Campbell, as our drivers now are starting to get gridded up, and let's go. We'll run down the starting order here on the pole in Pro Formula Mazda with a fast lap of 47.847 seconds. Tyler Campbell. Starting next to him will be Jamison Huffman. Row 2, John Vogel with Morgan Burkhardt starting right beside him on the outside of that row. Row number 3, the two teammates, Giancarlo Schooler and Murphy Nichols. And then we've got to take up row number 4, Justin Huffman, who we just saw go for that wild ride over at the chicane. He will start 9th today on the inside of row number 5 with Andrew Wozencroft right next to him. Then we've got Thortullo and Edgar Sancinelli. They will start 11th and 12th respectively. Then as we move down through the order, he will start on the inside of row number 8 with Andrew Benna in 14th position. Then we've got John Casey and Joaquin Effinger, Wayne Buttermore, and Kyle Vallejos did not set a time in qualifying. We'll have to see if the number 35 machine makes it out for the race. As still waiting for a few drivers to make their way to the grid. And when they do, we will start on what is a rather quick pace lap here at Lime Rock Park, simply because, well, it's a pretty short track. Again, it is in this layout, 8 turns, 1.5 miles, and we should see the pace car now start to roll off, and there it goes. You know, interesting story, Avery, that for years at Lime Rock Park, the track was always referred to as having been 1.53 miles. The story is that and this was the original version without the chicanes, that they checked the distance when they built the track, when they first paved it, using an old Chevrolet, and just basically wrote off the mileage from the odometer on the Chevy that they ran around the course. But turns out with more modern measuring equipment, the track is just about 1.50 miles. And the interesting thing is, again, there are 4 different layouts for the track based on, we've got the 2 different chicanes that we can run in different combinations, and then of course running the track without the chicanes. In the 4 different layouts, they are all 1.50 miles. They come out almost identically in length, regardless of which one they are. But you know, I'm just wondering if it would have been like 1.52 miles if they had run a Ford instead of a Chevy. I got a little chuckle out of you there.
Yeah.
So we've got the field coming out of that chicane, starting to get gridded up now as they come through West Bend and start to make the run down the hill here. Again, Tyler Campbell, our 3-time winner on the pole. Jamison Huffman, the number 89 machine, right next to him. Morgan Burkhardt is sitting back on the second row with John Vogel right beside him, waiting for the start. And Campbell, he's coming down all the way down the center of the track. He's not risking having anybody make the move around him, and he will lead the rest of the field down through turn 1. Huffman will follow him through, then Vogel, then Burkhardt. Right behind Burkhardt, we've got Nichols, who's gotten around Giancarlo Schooler, then Antonio Guarda, and a great run there as we were following along with Thortullo. This is currently the battle for 11th. Oh, and going around, it is that Tullo, just as I said it. And there is, once again, it happens every week, Avery. There's the announcer's curse. As Thortullo goes around, he now drops back into 17th position. And it looks as though he may have checked out already. We'll have to see if he gets back out on track and continues on, as Tyler Campbell will lead the field down across the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. Huffman, Vogel, Burkhardt, Nichols, and Schooler rounding out the top 6. Over to you.
Yeah, you hate to see the commentator's curse, but you know what happens. But we're taking a look at Murphy Nichols, you know, him and Giancarlo Schooler, and then Morgan Burkhardt. They're running a very, very similar paint scheme as that's what teammates do. So they are pretty much straight in a line with, there's John Vogel in front of them, with Huffman, their other teammate, in second, but Tyler Campbell off to a really good start, just over a second ahead of Jamison Huffman.
And now remember, Campbell qualified almost 0.45 of a second up on Morgan Burkhardt and Jamison Huffman, and there you can see Huffman now trying to hold off John Vogel for second. as Tyler Campbell starting to walk away from the rest of the field as we complete lap number 2 here at Lime Rock Park. And there you go, is John Vogel in that all sports racing sandwich. Jameson Huffman, the number 89 car, Morgan Burkhardt, the number 40 on either end of that car as they come through the right-hander and down the no-name straight. Now we just saw some brake lockup there at the chicane. That would have been from our leader, Tyler Campbell. Doesn't appear to have affected him all that much as he runs off in the distance, Avery. But here it is a great battle for second, a 4 or 5 car battle for second.
Yeah, 4 to 5 car battle, and it's 4 teammates. Oh, and around goes, that's Sam Tully and Andrew Benall goes around.
Yeah, it looks like Benna went around, and I believe, yeah, as you mentioned, Sam Tully as well passed, and they are now sitting on the pit lane trying to repair some damage. Let's take a look here at the replay as they come through West Bend and start to make their way down. And you can see the 34 car, probably the 24 car Tully just goes into the grass and just has trouble getting recovered there. As we're back to live action.
Yep, we got some more battle. These cars are just flying around here, Greg. 48 seconds. That's just over 12 seconds quicker than what you would see out of the Spec Racer 4. Campbell with the fast lap, and here comes the 12 of Schooler, going to try to make a move on the 43 of Guarda.
And can he hold Guarda out? And Guarda takes to the grass, goes to the outside of turns 1 and 2, takes the long way around. You can see he doesn't get out of the throttle. He's still looking for the best way to rejoin. He might rejoin at the uphill the way it's going here, as he's going to come back on over by the right-hander, but he's going to fall all the way back to 9th now. As we jump back up to the battle for second with Vogel and Huffman, and there you go. John Vogel now gets around Morgan Burkhardt, and so move Burkhardt now back in the 4th with Murphy Nichols there right beside, and the 3 teammates all side by side coming through the downhill. Burkhardt, the leader of that pack, with Giancarlo Schooler trailing behind Murphy Nichols, and a great run there. They've got the livery from the movie Cars. And we can always tell which one is Murphy Nichols, because he's just blinking in and out the whole
Yep, it's the Flasher, Murphy Nichols.
There you go.
Wow, look at that. I like that. Bright colors all the way around. I always say it, Buttermore and Effinger.
And Effinger had to get into the brakes there at the left-hander to keep from going into the back of Wayne Buttermore. Good heads-up driving there, but loses a little bit of ground to the number 73 machine as they head towards the uphill. So let's jump back over to this battle for second. Actually, now it's the battle for third, because it looks like with all the battling here, Jameson Huffman has managed to separate himself out from Vogel, Burkhardt, Nichols, and Schooler. We're on board right now with Giancarlo Schooler, who's the tail car in that 4-car train. Oh, and top of the curve, Murphy Nichols, is he going to be able to recover? He gets back on, but it looks like Giancarlo Schooler might be able to sneak underneath him at West Bend. Has to keep the car kind of tidy on exit, and they are still side by side as they come down the hill. Nichols now sticking to the inside. Will he be able to get that position back from Giancarlo Schooler?
Well, they're going for it.
Oh, and Murphy Nichols reappears right next to Giancarlo, and he has to run a little bit wide at the left hand there, and you can see the car get a little bit loose. You know, a couple weeks ago, and I believe it was during the MX5 race, I had mentioned during the broadcast that I thought Murphy Nichols was maybe giving a little bit too much room when he went side by side into a braking zone with a competitor. Back then, it was going into turn 4 over by China Beach, at Mid-Ohio. And here, as they came down the San Posey Straight, it looked like maybe he hung to the inside just a little bit too much and really compromised his entry. You know, but I was talking to Murphy afterwards, and Murphy now sitting on the pit lane. We'll have to see what happened to him. You know, but Murphy, you know, he's only got a single screen here. Let's take a look at a replay, see if we can find out what happened to the number 5 machine as they come through the no-name straight up through. Oh, there you go. And Murphy Nichols there pretty much pointing up, nose up to the sky. And it looked like it broke the front wing and probably broke the front suspension as well. Now all of our drivers, they do get a fast repair. But looks like it's going to take a little bit of time there. And what I was getting at was that you know, Murphy with just a single screen, kind of hard for him to tell when he has drivers to the left or to the right. And so he's always giving himself at least a little bit of extra margin, which is certainly a good thing, as he did it when he went down into turn 1 with his teammate Giancarlo Schooler that last time before pointing his Pro Mazda up towards the International Space Station there.
Yeah, the International Space Station was a calling, but
there you go. Now this has made things a little difficult for Giancarlo Schooler sitting back as we're following him now, currently in 5th. But you can see that there is almost a little bit over 2-second gap up to Morgan Burkhardt in 4th. That's going to be a whole lot of ground for Schooler to make up. Now the best time that Schooler has turned in is a whole 0.07 of a second faster than Morgan Burkhardt. So at that rate, it may take the remaining 10 minutes, or actually remaining 11.5 minutes to get up to his teammate Morgan Burkhardt, who we have on board here. And same story, Burkhardt the Vogel. Now Vogel's fast lap, a 48.90. Again, 0.08 of a second faster than Morgan Burkhardt.
Yep.
As we go back to our leader, Tyler Campbell, who's about ready to start lapping the field here.
Yeah, he is on a mission. He's always quick, and you know, I said earlier in the broadcast that it wasn't a guaranteed winner. He still isn't a guaranteed winner, but man, he's been putting on a show the last couple times. Watching him go around any racetrack, definitely in this Pro Mazda, and man, putting on a clinic. But let's go back. Look at Joaquin Effinger and Wayne Buttermore. These drivers always race against each other, and they always put on a really good show. And that 7.3 of Buttermore able to maintain a little bit of a gap. The gap is 0.5 seconds.
Handle this. They've got our overall leader Tyler Campbell in that number 37 machine coming up. He's going to try to sneak to the inside of through the chicane. He gets that done. He's going to now try to get underneath. Try to get underneath Vaccaro in the 221. He gets that done. See here. And he should be able to dispatch Buttermore fairly easily as well going in this. Looks like we had somebody maybe miss the chicane there altogether. Avery, did you notice that? There he is. Who was that? It looks like one of the All Sports Racing machines. Yeah, it's the number 12 machine of Giancarlo Schooler. Looked like he skipped the chicane altogether.
You know, sometimes you got to skip the chicane and mow the grass, but you know, it just happens. Oh, and around goes Rosencroft. Oh, the paw prints aren't happy today.
No, certainly not. As Andrew Rosencroft goes and loses the rear end of that car coming into turn 1, and that's going to drop him back to 9th position now, although he is still on the lead lap. Good pass for position there as we see Giancarlo Schooler get around Guarda. Skipped the chicane the lap before. Had to have a slowdown, I presume, and has continued on. As we jump now, this
slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, there we go. Now this is the battle for 3rd. Morgan Burkhardt, last time we saw, was about from John Vogel. He's made up maybe a little bit more than half of that. He's just a touch under a second back right now from Vogel, so he laps here. Last time by Vogel was almost 2 full seconds off of Burkhardt. So now you know where that time came from. And we'll see here if Vogel can put it laps as Burkhardt maybe just in the touch in the tail end of the draft there.
Yep, maybe just a little bit of the draft, and you got the battle with Guarda and Giancarlo Schooler. This is the battle for 6th place, and a half second back, but he's in reach. He's in the toe, and we'll have to see what he can do on that main straightaway. But you know, these cars are just flying around here. One second turn, another second turn. You just got to be on your toes when you're driving these cars around this very small or very short track.
Yeah, and and we have going around. That was the number 4. He was starting to close things down on John Vogel. Let's take a look and see what happened here in what was the battle for 3rd. Those drivers are probably the battle for 3rd as Burkhardt and Eve. That was Joaquin Effinger, and Burkhardt just did not get it right. I don't think Effinger saw Burkhardt coming after he let Vogel through, and that is going to put Morgan Burkhardt now back after he was battling for the last step on the podium.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but man, we're looking at Giancarlo. You know, Huffman's quite a ways away from him. That's Justin Huffman right there, up 5 spots, putting on a really good run in the 4th spot. So he's just gonna have to be nice and calm and cool around Giancarlo Schooler. And you see, going down the straightaway, Guarda in the toe. We'll see if he makes a move.
Yeah, Guarda, he's still not quite effect the pass there on Giancarlo Schooler, but that last time by Schooler was he was just about a 10th faster than Guarda was. But you know, as you can see here, it's pretty easy to close things up at Lime Rock Park. It's not easy to get around, especially when you start to come up on some slower traffic. It can definitely complicate things here as they make their way through the chicane and over towards West Bend. And you know, it's amazing, Avery, watching these Formula cars go through West Bend and how little speed they have to scrub off when you compare it to, say, the MX-5s, where it's certainly not it's not a heavy braking zone by any stretch. It's just a little brush of the brakes, but it's a much more of a challenge to navigate that little kink in an MX-5 than it certainly is in one of these Formula cars.
Oh yeah, it's just these Formula cars are so quick, and man, it's just look at Antonio Guarda, nice and smooth on the wheel. Gotta have a lot of input corners, and you'll see Guarda on that toe.
And that's a bit of a challenge with these cars here. If you get too close to the gearbox, great run by Guarda, and he just moves over just a little bit to hold off what would have been a heck of a march by Guarda. But you know, if you get too far underneath the gearbox and through some of these more sweeping corners, you'll tend to have a bit of a push from the car. And we actually saw that the last time by going through the left-hander, which is what both Guarda and Schooler are coming up on now, that Guarda had the front end wash out just a little bit on him. And you can see here where Schooler has been able to get back around Antonio Guarda. Took 3 corners to do it, but the way the track switches back from left to right, he was able to get the job done, and he's going to have to hold him off one more lap.
Yep, gonna have to hold them off. These drivers have really been battling these last couple laps. It's Guarda and Schooler just carrying so much speed as they go onto this front straightaway, and you see you got the 223 in front of them. That is Justin Huffman, so they're making up some time. Running very similar laps as Huffman and we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and so with just about 3 minutes remaining in this 20-minute race, Tyler Campbell, as he has from the drop of the green flag, he upped somewhat down to 3.2 seconds. And you can see now as they come on the Sam Posey straight that Jamison Huffman is there off in the distance. But I think probably more than anything, that has been more management of the equipment by Tyler Campbell to bring that car home. Previous lap, Campbell ran almost 0.3 of a second faster than Huffman that last time by. Huffman was slightly faster, by 0.02 of a second. So again, Campbell really keeping that pace. You know, it's going to be more of a question if he comes up on some slower traffic again as we get back to this battle for 5th right now between Giancarlo Schooler and Iz Huffman. And you can see, let's see, Wayne Buttermore is going to have to hang out just a little bit to let Guarda and Schooler go by. And he does. But both of those drivers definitely starting to close things down on about 3 seconds on both Schooler and Guarda. That is now gone, and I believe what may have happened is Huffman lost a little bit of pace over the last couple opens back from John Vogel. You can see that margin now 15 as Schooler and Huffman now go side by side down into turn 1, and Schooler gets the job done.
Oh yeah, it puts a nice pass on the 223 of Justin Huffman, but man, good run for Justin, still up 4 spots, sitting P5. Really put on a good show for the fans in the YouTube and Twitch stands. But really good run for him up in 5th. You know, not quite out of 5th though. I mean, look at Guarda, he's about 6/10 second back. Couldn't make a move soon, but time is starting to run out. I'm gonna guess we're gonna have 2 laps to go here.
Yeah, so our leader, Tyler Campbell, now he's going through the chicane, making his way up the uphill, and we've got just about 40 seconds left to go. So when he crosses the stripe, he will get that white flag signifying 1 lap to go here at Lime Rock Park. Jamison Huffman still a little bit more than 3.5 seconds back. We'll probably see him come into view just as Campbell comes down the Samposi straight under braking. There as Campbell goes down into turn number 1 for the very last time. Again, we're on the last lap here, and now let's take a look. This is the battle as Huffman runs wide going through West Bend, and he is going to impact the wall. And Justin Huffman, who had been running so strong today, it's all going to end in tears for him as he impacts the wall, and it looks like his day is now done. As we come back to our leader, Tyler Campbell, going through West Bend. He's going to come down the downhill and onto the Samposi straight for the very last time in Pro Formula Mazda, making this, I believe, 4 wins out of 5 rounds. Tyler Campbell takes the win. James will finish 2nd. John Vogel in the number 3 machine crosses the stripe. He will finish in 3rd. And now let's take a look coming down the hill. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Giancarlo Schooler, or is it going to be Antonio Guarda? And Guarda, who I think got caught up trying to avoid Justin Huffman's spin, has fallen back almost 5 seconds. So now finishing in 4th, just off the podium, the number 12 machine of Giancarlo Schooler. Antonio Guarda will finish in 5th. Let's take a look back here as we had Guarda right back behind Justin Huffman. And you can see here as Huffman comes through West Bend and a lot wide. And Guarda had to check up really hard. You saw the brake smoke going into West Bend, and I think just kind of sat back and waited for the whole situation with Huffman to play out. But great run there from Tyler Campbell. He was the class of the field in qualifying. He takes the win here at Lime Rock Park for round number 5 in Pro Mazda. Again, 4th win out of 5 rounds for Tyler Campbell. And let's see, do we have one of our podium finishers? There is Tyler Campbell. Avery, our winner, Tyler Campbell, is here with you.
Hey Tyler, congrats on another win here at the Race Sports Series at Lime Rock Park in that Pro Mazda. And when it comes to broadcasting, you always want to get the camera time, but when you're out in front as far as you are, the TV time isn't quite there. But man, Tyler, congrats on a great run. How were you able to pull that off?
No, yeah, thanks guys. It was really putting in the laps and the race. I probably put in at least 100 laps. I know for sure. Just getting and tweaking the setup, because on this track it is, as far as with the they have the open diffs. You go into that corner wrong. You don't apply enough throttle. It's sending you off into the barriers in the middle of nowhere. So, it's just a lot of getting it down, and I still don't have the chicane down. I have no idea how to take that corner quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely a very tough corner. Greg and I were talking about that. These cars are so fast around this track. Any moment you can make a mistake, and you might have made a couple mistakes in the chicane and maybe other parts of the track, but you're still able to pull away. So, man, congrats on a great run. But next week at Sonoma, the Pro Mazda is taking a week off, and they're coming back to Watkins Glen to boot. So the Glen, a lot of tow with that track, and definitely these cars. You ready for?
Real excited. Ready for it? No, I've never driven these cars on that track, but I am so excited. That track it's just so much fun when you get dragged up the hill as a group of 3 or 4. I wish everybody luck in the Sonoma race, because these guys that pull double duty, I mean, I just don't get it. They're crazy. That takes some talent to just hop out and then hop into one of these, especially. So, shout out to those guys.
Yeah, speaking of double duty, not to get too far ahead, but June 22nd, Road America, the runoffs, we're going to see some drivers go triple duty. But Tyler, great run again. Anybody like to thank?
I mean, as usual, I'm gonna thank my wife, and I'd like to use Fort Worth for doing me some mold inspection and remediation this weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to them for getting things taken care of for Tyler Campbell, and big thanks to Tyler's wife for letting us talk about him on iRacing. So we'll see you next time, Tyler. Great job.
Thanks, guys. As always, great broadcast.
All right, there you go. That was Tyler Campbell, winner in tonight's Pro Mazda race in the number 37 machine. Next up, let's bring in Jamison Huffman, who finishes second here in Pro Mazda. Avery, take it away.
Yeah, we're joined along with Jamison Huffman. A second place finish here with the Pro Mazda at Lime Rock after pulling double duty. How was that one for you, man?
It was extremely sketchy. There was never a moment to rest in either races, basically. Especially in the Pro Mazda, it was extremely hard to switch back over to that.
Yeah, after watching the surf and then going to this Pro Mazda, it just seems to happen like everything happens in the Pro Mazda like a million times faster than it did with the surf. And so you had to be on your toes with, in traffic and even by yourself. So to get a podium finish here is a very good feat. I don't know about you, if you're looking at your relative, your dad was running super strong, but had some incidents towards the end. How cool is it to race for the eSports series?
It's a lot of fun running with him. I mean, he's standing over my shoulder right now, and he races about like 3 feet away from during the race, and also I give him setups that we have. And it's fun because also this is another thing that I get to beat him on. So
yeah, you have beaten him a couple times, than more than he probably would like, but I'm sure he really enjoys running with you next week. We go to a very fun track. It's a fun track. I'm just really slow, but are you ready for that one?
I am probably the farthest thing from ready. I have run at Sonoma maybe once, and I thought I had none of the lines down at all.
Well, you got a week to get ready for it, Jamison. But before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank my dad and my mom for letting me race. The makeshift all sports team with Morgan, JC, Murphy. We got some more people for different leagues, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun crew. Always running a good paint scheme. Has some great faces on the surf, and it's very entertaining for me myself. But congrats on a great run, Jamison. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Jamison Huffman finishing second tonight in Pro Mazda in the number 89 machine. Congratulations to our winners tonight, Tyler and Jamison here in Pro Mazda. And, you let the cat out of the bag there, Avery. Next week, the Ray Esports Racing League is going to be at Sonoma Raceway, heading out to good old California wine country. We're going to see the return of the Mazda MX-5s. And the Spec Racer Fords will be back as well. The Pro Mazda, the Formula cars will have the week off. So that racing will start at 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Tuesday night. Make sure to come join us for that. And as we mentioned, you can catch all the great racing action that Apex Racing TV brings you. Easiest way to do that, go ahead and subscribe to the Apex Racing TV channel here on YouTube. Go and click that notification bell so you can find out every single time that we have new content for you. And of course, make sure to give us a thumbs up. You can also go to apexracingtv.com/schedule to find out about all the great racing action that we bring you. So for Avery McDonald, for Dennis Branch sitting back, bringing up all those great shots and all those great replays for us tonight, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next week at Sonoma Raceway. Thanks for joining us.